All right, man. So let's start off with Sherman on IR. And
Jason, what's up, man?
How are you, man? I figured we'd talk, but yeah, what's going on, guy?
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
Joe. All right.
My bad. It's all good. So let's start off with Sherman and Ahkello Witherspoon in concussion protocol. I was just wondering, when did Sherman get this injury? And I didn't even see Ahkello Witherspoon get on the field, right? And he's in concussion protocol. Comes out that this guy played less than 10 plays and he got a concussion. So I was wondering, how does that affect the 49ers defense on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, to answer the first question, I don't know. Has anybody seen exactly how? I went back. Jason knows. I went back and watched Jason. He was in. Sherm was in until that last series with like 30 seconds left.
That's what happened.
But the last play he was on the field was like the half-yard touchdown run. He was on the field for that play. Nothing really happened on that play. Was he hurt early? Did you see something on it?
Yeah, I saw him limp a little, move around. But, you know.
Do you remember when did you start seeing it?
It was that last drive.
Oh, on the last drive, yeah.
Yeah, Ahkello got in on 4 plays, and I think that he went down for somebody's knee or something like that. It looked like on a tackle, and I think that's where he got the concussion.
I was talking about Sherman.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a lot harder to figure out than the Sherman thing. Like I saw Sherman like limp around a little bit, and then like he just stepped in and out real quick. But then like it's happening so fast that like when you watch it on the broadcast, it's hard to tell. But yeah, I did catch a little bit of it, and it was strange because nobody said anything after the game either. Like there was nothing.
And you really don't usually get like inactives IR stuff on a Wednesday. So I don't know if he woke up today or, I do think one thing, like how it affects him this week, it is you could not, all due respect, you could not pick a better team to play. Like
sure.
I watched some of the Jags this week. Like the Jags have a problem. And the Jags problem is they are not worse than the Jets. Like they're not getting, maybe they get Trevor Lawrence if the Jets stay with Sam Darnold, but
maybe.
Right.
But this is this is who you want to play. This is so I in that way, like the Niners were 7-point favorites. Today they're 7.5.
Yeah.
So, and then the Giants actually, it was who you want to play in 2 weeks. I know he's not going to be back for the Philly game. I don't know, man. It's rough, but this is the game you would want, I think.
That's the one that scares me is the Eagles game, not as much as the Giants game. But, Jamison Crowder has a hamstring injury. Now we're talking about the vaunted duo of Chris Hogan and Brashad Perryman. I'll take my chances with Spoon and anybody else that wants to get out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even if he's not back, I think you built this team defensively this way and I know, no DeForest is no DeForest, but you built this team with Kinlaw. You built this team with Bosa. You paid Eric Armstead. You got Greenlaw. You got Ford. You got Warner. You got Alexander. That should be enough to survive with, out your starting corners this week against this team.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't necessarily worried about it, but, because I was like, okay, Ahkello Witherspoon, this is your chance to shine, right? This is your opportunity to get on the field and make some plays as a starter. And as soon as I seen that he was in concussion protocol, that's when I kind of got a little bit worried. Not so much this week, but next week, they got some pretty good wideouts. They got Sterling Shepard. They got one of the best young tight ends if he stays healthy in the game with the Giants. So a little bit worried there. And then we all know what the Philadelphia Eagles could do. So it bothers me a little bit. Hopefully Sherm could be back within that 3-week time period for the Eagles, but I do expect us to win these next 2 games.
Here's the thing, Drew. Dre, too. Before we move on, I'm sorry. The receiving cores are different, right? So we just talked about the Jets, right? The Giants have a guy who can be up top deep. That's Darius Slayton, and we saw that Monday night. Him and Daniel Jones seem to have a connection that they're bringing over. So you're talking about possibly the 3 receivers that the 49ers are going to have to cover against the Giants: Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, and Darius Slayton, in addition to Evan Ingram. So that's the game that it worries me a little bit. And then when you bring in the Eagles, you're talking about a healthy Deshaun Jackson, maybe Jalen Rager, who's a burner.
I had him on my fantasy.
Yeah, I jammed him into my lineup in week 1 too because it all lined up. Week 1 revenge team, I was like, it's perfect, and that's what I get.
Nope.
But all those guys can threaten you up top, and that's when the Eagles game is when I get a little scary. Even the Dolphins, right? The Dolphins aren't a great team, but Preston Williams and Devontae Parker are 2 really, really good wide receivers.
Right, most definitely.
But I will say this, like I do think against those teams, the Niners have done a really good job against quarterbacks that are not
mobile.
Kyler Murray mobile, right? So look, Darnold is not NFL. I mean, he's athletic, but he's not NFL mobile. And his arm strength is not plus. Daniel Jones is not like mobile by NFL standards.
Right.
Carson is.
Right.
Carson is.
Yeah. Yeah, he
But
can make plays.
he can. But Washington got after him a little bit. They had a 17-0 lead, and he threw to me 2 absolutely inexcusable interceptions, up 17-0 and then 17-7 against Washington.
Right.
So, I still think a lot of this comes back to offense.
Yeah.
Like, this team should be able, even with the issues they've got at receiver, to outscore the Jets' best offensive day, to outscore the Giants' best offensive day.
Right.
I think the Eagles are well coached, but you should be able to outscore these teams. Jimmy's got to be. I mean, that's a whole other. I won't jump the gun here.
God.
But that's it. That's what's funny is the Sherman thing raises questions about what we've all been worried about again. Like the Sherman thing. Like I think you're absolutely dead on, guy. Like, this team is built to pass rush, and if there's ever a time to cover up this secondary, it's going to be this week against the Jets.
Right.
And the Giants also. Like, Pittsburgh had their way with them pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing. And then it's like, how are they going to generate points? Well, when you look a little bit deep, like Dre pointed out, Jets' run defense is actually pretty good.
Very
That's the one thing they can do well.
Right.
They can't cover worth a damn, as we saw John Brown standing in the end zone by himself before Josh Allen threw it into the stands.
Right.
But they can definitely play run defense pretty well. So, I mean, it all goes back to the offense. Like, how are they going to get these points?
Everybody's killing Josh Allen for that play too.
It was horrible.
He was like, but he's like running to his left. He throws this laser. What yard line was that on? Like the 30? He throws it.
Yeah.
I mean, if that play was at the combine, everyone would been like, oh my God.
Right.
But there was Smokey Brown like this though. But
I know. But he looks good though. God, Josh Allen looks good.
Yeah.